Just Minding My Business Radio, where we are moving at the speed of God, learning what we didn't know we didn't know. I'm your host, Ida Crawford, so grab a pen and paper and get ready for information that you can use.
Welcome to another episode of JMNB Radio. We are so happy that you're joining us. I'm your host, Ida Crawford.
And this is your co-host, Ruth Haskins.
I hope your day was full of peace and love. Well, coming to the mic today is a real treat, and we're honored to have him. We have Freedom Imani, a singer, songwriter, vocal coach, music arranger, and independent recording artist, starting his journey in singing at the age of 12 years old. Early in his career, he released his first gospel singer, I'm Still Here, after winning a Heaven 600 gospel radio competition. So he went on to do some amazing things, and I'm going to let him tell you all about it. He became the lead singer of legendary R&B band Pockets, who recorded 3 albums under the production guidance of Earth, Wind, and Fire. Wow, this is awesomeness. Well, I'm going to let you tell us all about your life and your career, Freedom, because you've got quite a bit going on here. So welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. How are you doing? It's such an honor. I'm so excited right now. I'm so excited. God is good, yes.
Yes, he is. So when did you know you was on this destined road of becoming an artist?
A little bit before 12, around 7 years old, my mom, I come from a very, singing background family. And my mom, she was a singer, still is a singer, but my uncle, his name was Raymond Wells, and he was a vocal coach, and he did a lot of music arranging and singing with Shirley Caesar, James Cleveland, all of the greats. And they basically pushed me, and they were the first ones to really get me started heavy in singing and traveling.
Wow. Awesome. And I remember Pockets. I have all of their music. So How did you end up connecting with Pockets?
Well, I wound up connecting with Pockets. I was at the time I was already doing my solo and traveling, and I was singing. But I took a little break off of one of my solo tours, and I went into prayer because at that time I just wanted to be around a group of men. My prayer was that God would allow me to be around a group of men that was seasoned and that could be able to teach me from another level outside of my journey before. And right after that prayer, I was led to call a bass player by the name of Gary Groove. He is the bass player for Kiki Wyatt, Monifa from R&B Divas. And I called him, and he said, man, I just was on my face praying for you. I said, really? He said, have you ever heard of Pockets? I was like, nah, what is it? And he was like, well, it's a group. And I'm like, oh, no disrespect. So he told me a lot about him, and I flew in because I was in L.A. I flew from L.A. to Baltimore, and I had an audition to just sing background for them because the lead singer, Larry Jacobs, he needed some help, with his vocals doing the backgrounds to help him out with parts he couldn't do anymore. And, I did the audition. I flew back to L.A. I got a phone call a week later, and they called me back and said, listen, Larry, took a little break. You're now the new lead singer of the group. You got the job.
Oh, wow.
And I came back. I wound up working with them for a while. Larry Jacobs, the original singer, came back, and, we did a duo. And then from there, a couple of years after that, of me traveling back and forth, I was, on the road doing my stuff and coming back and forth with them. We got a phone call and said, hey, we want you guys to do some tours with a group by the name of Breakwater. from Philly, and we want you guys to go to London. And we were like, listen, we're down. So we got on that plane, and we did some shows in London.
Wow. That is awesome. That is awesome. You just never know.
They were just really amazing. You know, Gary Granger, the bass player. Greg Granger is his brother. He was on drums. He was the original drummer for Whitney Houston. And then Larry Jacobs, you know, the lead singer of Pockets. You know, he's done so much stuff. So it was just such an honor to not only be a part of them, but be able to see their legacy go to another level, and to know that I could have helped to elevate that to another level was just amazing, because they're legends, you know, and on their platform. So it was definitely an honor to tour and work with them.
Yes, I was looking at your bio, and I see that you also shared the stage with Prince lead guitarist.
Mike Scott.
Mhm.
Yep, Mike Scott. There was a Prince tribute that was going around, and Mike Scott was a part of the Prince tribute band, and I got a call from Gary Granger from Pocket, and they wanted to know if I could come and be a part of it. And we did a couple of shows right after Prince died, and I was one of the original singers on that band. So it was Gary Granger, Greg Granger, a couple of people that played with a lot of different artists. Greg Boyer was Prince trombone player, and Mike Scott was the guitar player, and I was one of the lead singers. So when we did the shows, I did Kiss and The Beautiful Ones was the songs that I did for the set that I came out. So it was really, really great.
Yes, I heard some of your music, and your voice is absolutely heaven. So you definitely have talent.
You have a wonderful, wonderful voice.
Thank you so much.
How do you classify your music? Is it gospel? Is it jazz? Is it where does it fall?
You know, I get asked that question a lot, and you know, to me, you know, having the opportunity to just be around so much, I don't really give it its place. I allow the Holy Spirit to do what it needs to do for whatever time that I'm in, and I allow the audience to put it in the place of wherever they feel at that time. I let the audience decide, but I allow God to go forth and just basically just put it out there. I know the difference between being in the UK and being here in the US. Being over in the UK, there's really no, you know, station of where it is. It's just music. Here in the US, you know, your R&B, your gospel, your all of this. So for me, it's just a sound. I create my own sound. But if I was to give it something, it would just be along the lines of like weird jazz or R&B, what you call it. But I just call it a sound.
Now, that's an interesting fact. Can you talk a little bit more about the fact, what did you say just now, that in the UK it's just sound versus we have to classify everything here?
Right.
Does the UK, does that environment, do you feel it gives you more freedom to create?
Yes. Yes, they give a lot more. You know, to a lot of artists in the UK, a lot of them, they are so amazing. And a lot of music we have here is amazing as well. But the only difference is we have a little bit more leverage here in the U.S. than they do in the UK. That's why a lot of them want to come here. But it's so much there. But the difference between their sound there is when they sing their truth. It's not commercial. Like, they're singing from their life, their soul, from their gut. So even if they're not the greatest singer, I mean, you don't really even have to be one of the top singers singing all the way up in the sky. If you're singing with a meaning and a purpose and a feeling, then it's music. It's a sound. And that's what music was back then, you know, with the Rochelle Farrells and the Bobby McFerrins and the Lena Hornes. They sung from their soul. A lot of the music and stuff has kind of gotten away from that here. In the U.S., it's more like they're putting on, they're trying to impress, and it's just too much. There, it's just a sound. and they can respect your truth. And it can be ugly. It doesn't have to be perfect. You know, it can be raggedy. It can be scratchy a little bit. They just love the true, authentic sound of music, and because that's what it was before. You know.
Yeah. So, I'm so glad you brought that up. That is, because I think our listening audience, there are some who, like myself and Ida, probably said, yes, that is so true, because we get so annoyed with some of the music that's out here because it's lost that flavor. In fact, I just recognized that Nancy Wilson just passed away. And she was the voice of my young adulthood. And it was that. She spoke about her truth. Or she could take a song and you knew she was singing from her gut. You know, it was her life she was expressing. One of my favorites is Guess Who I Saw Today. And, you know, that's so important. Can you talk to our audience, please, to us? This is a conversation between the three of us.
Okay.
They're just listening in. Can you talk more to us about that whole process of being a songwriter, creating, making that music arrangement that comes from inside of you, rather than trying to play to the masses and whatever nonsense they may want to hear? There's a difference. So can you talk about that and what that's like for you?
Well, what is like for me, because my voice is very different. It's very weird, strange, and any word that somebody could use. And what I had to realize is that biblically, the Bible speaks about, the first becoming the last and last becoming the first. And I didn't understand that there was a blessing in being last, because being last gives us time to see the ones that have went before us and to have an understanding and be more sensitive to what was going on before. So with that, I was able to understand that I had to tell my story, but in order to tell my story, I had to understand that the Bible, we know that we're not perfect, but the industry teaches us how to be perfect. But the real sound of music is there's no right or wrong when it comes to music. If it's your story, it's your story. Your story can be painful, it can be gritty, it can be beautiful, and it's just all in that. So, for me, when I'm singing, I love to do everything in the moment. It's very organic. Nothing is really programmed. And I always had so many people that would hire me, not for my soul and for the gift and the anointing that God has given me, but they will hire me for my ability, which was a little disrespectful, because people really don't nurture what you are. They more nurture what your ability is. That's industry, what your ability is, how you can do this and do that. But they're not asking, are you able to move somebody spiritually? Are you able to do this and are you able to do that? So to me, the music became so loud, and I'm like, I feel like people are losing the essence of what I'm trying to say. So when I stripped myself from all music, just everything, and just start singing without any music, then I was able to understand what music was and where it came from. Back then in slavery days, they didn't have anything. A little foot stomp, a hand clap, So I was always taught the most greatest developed artists and vocalists out here are artists that are not afraid to be wrong. Once you get to a place to where you're afraid to be wrong and mess up and scratch and all of this stuff, then you lose people. You start to what's the word I'm looking for? You start to over-perfect something that was already great.
Yeah.
And you die trying to be something that you already are, like God created you in greatness. So it's like understanding what the Bible says and then also seeing what the world has created for us. Like I was telling an artist the other day, he was like, I'm not trying to be on TV, but I want people to hear my stuff. I said, well, if the Bible calls us filthy rags and it also says your gifts will make room for you, then the world says you're a superstar. But you say, I don't want to be a superstar. Well, then you're really saying you don't want your gifts to make room for you. So understanding what the Bible says and letting the world say and do what it's supposed to do, but just keep in mind what the world says. so that you can be able to express yourself. But they forget what that says, get caught up in what the world says, and then they lose the essence and being of who they are, vocally, mentally, and spiritually, and the music gets lost.
Okay.
And I think you're so right about that because, you know, to stay grounded is critical in any industry that you're in, to make sure that you have your constitution and your integrity in place at all times. Even though there's a lot of noise and all kinds of things going on around you and people telling you you need to do this, you need to do that, but being able to know who you are and what God brought you here to do and staying connected to that is so important, so important. And, you know, I see you did some work with Patti LaBelle, and I'm here to tell you, I went to see her in concert, and she literally brought tears to my eyes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she's one of the great artists. Yes.
Yes, singers that really hit your spirit. You know, down in your soul, and can really make you feel something from their music is real important to me. And I listen to all types of genres. I am not. I probably would do well in the UK because I listen to the sound, and I've actually had to go over and purchase music online from the UK because I'm the type of person, I go seeking new sounds.
Right.
And a lot of times those new sounds aren't in the United States.
Yeah,
no, it's not.
That's really true. That's so true.
And Patti, I met Patti, and, you know, to be clear, you know, and there are a lot of people I've shared the stage and actually did shows and work with. Patti was an artist that I had an opportunity to share the stage with one night. It's a really long story. But to cut it short, there was a prayer that I prayed, and it was called Changing My Way of Prayer. And at the time, I felt in my spirit that it was something that I needed to pray for concerning Patti. And I've done tons of shows opening up for her, VIP parties and different things like that, but I never met her. Like, every time I go backstage, she would be done. I would go to concerts, couldn't see her. So the Lord said, change your way of prayer. Like, you don't need to sing background for it. You don't need to tour it, but, like, it's something that I need you to do. And it was prayer. So long story short, I wound up praying. I wound up getting sick that night after praying that I wanted to see Patti LaBelle, to pray for her. I wound up praying. I wound up getting sick. Woke up the next morning. My mom called me and said, listen, I had a dream that you died at 8 o'clock last night. I said, I felt attacked by the enemy at 8 o'clock because I was fasting. She said, well, I buried you in powder blue, burnt orange, and chocolate, which is my favorite color. And she said, but nobody was crying but you. But your uncle just called me and told me that you died of a spiritual death. He don't know what you're doing, but something's about to break. I said, okay. Got to New York, went to the arena where Patti LaBelle was going to be, prayed over the stage where she was going to be at B.B. King's restaurant in New York, walked out of there, and a bodyguard said, I love your spirit. Come to her show 2 hours early. I'm going to sit you up front. The guy didn't even know who I was. I sat up the front and I prayed and I said, God, this is you. You already answered my prayers. And at 8 o'clock when the lights came up, the colors that my mother buried me in, which was burnt orange, powder blue, and chocolate, was the colors that Patti LaBelle had on stage. Now, my prayer was that I would go to the show, sit in the front, get up on stage with her, sing with her, and pray for her. At the very end of the concert, she was looking for people to come on stage, and she looked at me and said, you're skinny, get up here. She grabbed me up there. Yeah, I'm just like, okay, and she put me behind all of these people. I'm like, why are you putting me behind people? I can sing. And she was like, no, you can't sing. So when she finally gave me the mic, I sung. And when I sung, she just looked at me and we sung together. And then she dropped in my arms and gave me a hug, and she started screaming, the Spirit of God is here. And I instantly started to pray for her. And after I prayed for her, you know, we sung some more on stage. And after that, I walked off the stage, and Roberta Flack had a long conversation with me about the transition that she saw God do with me when I was on stage with Patti LaBelle. And since then, so many things have happened between a lot of people that she works with. I work with her drummer, Eric Seats, and a couple other people that's around her. But that was my time back in 2010 on stage with Patti LaBelle from a prayer that I wrote out called Changing Your Way of Prayer.
Wow.
I'm
telling you. We could never orchestrate it the way God does.
No, you can't. And that's what Roberta Flack said. She said, Freedom, I have been around Patti and artists for years. You have pierced Patti's soul. I've never been able to see anybody pierce the soul of Patti the way that God allowed you to do it. She gave everybody color roses and gave you a white rose. Your life will never be the same. And that day, I got invited out to the Sugar Bar, the Ashford and Simpson Sugar Bar in New York, to meet Ashford and Simpson, Roberta Flack, and a whole, stream of people that was there. But that night, I was so drained spiritually, I just went back to my hotel. But the next week after that, I got invited to meet Roberta Flack and, Ashford and Simpson, and all of us became very close. And, it became my new home in New York to go there for open mic nights and sing and be around, the greats. So all of that came in 2010 from that one prayer.
Wow. When God do it, he do it big. Yes,
and it
he
must
does.
feel so good to be with what people today are calling your tribe, to be surrounded by people who love the same thing that you do, love what you do, and you have that connection. That must be intense, because I know New York City, I'm a New York City girl, it's an intense place for the arts. And
yeah.
I just, that's the one thing about Manhattan, New York, that I miss tremendously, are the arts. So I'm really happy for you. I don't know you really, but I'm really happy for you.
So God be the glory. Thank you.
I'm really happy for you. What a fabulous journey. And the fact that you keep God in the midst of it is so important and so encouraging, because so many people, they want fame and fortune. And that's where they're headed. But they're not.
I tell people all the time, your legacy is much greater than a name.
Thank you.
You have to build your legacy. Like there's so much that people put in bios that really don't have to be in there. You know what I mean? Like, it's so much that is not in my bio that I've taken out, because a lot of it is just a part of my legacy. It's a build to get to half of the meat that you see, but it was so much legacy behind it. People ask for short bios, but a lot of that stuff, when the time comes for it to be known, then it shall and it will be. But sometimes you just have to live in whatever those moments was and announce them when they're supposed to be announced. So some of them, you don't have to announce them. But there are so many opportunities that we have on our journey and our legacy, but people don't have respect for legacy because they're so caught on a name. And names come and go. They come and go quick. And half of the time they got music out, you don't remember their name or anything like that. But when you're in a timeless state of mind, and this is another thing I told somebody, we have to be very sensitive to God's timing, and also know that the devil has perfect timing. And the way that we won't get caught up with the devil and his perfect timing is if we obey and be sensitive to God's timing. Like, we just got to take our time and keep still. And I've done swool of things, working with people, ghost singing, ghost writing, working with other artists, being booted off concerts and written off of projects and written off of songs and different things like that. And it's like you just got to keep going and keep going, because that just builds up your legacy. It builds you up as a woman, as a man in the industry, and you're able to share it with other people that's out there. Because TV is just television. To television, people, you made it and you're big. And it's like, nah. It's like, I've been doing this, but TV just showed you one model. But it's so much out here for us as artists, as signed artists, independent. That's why a lot of major artists is being independent now, because it's like you're restricting us from really living the way that God intends for us to live musically freely. You know, so everybody's trying to get that fame, and there's a price on that. But if you understand your legacy, then you can get a major contract from this person without naming that label and be good to say, you know what, I'm good. Because it can't function without you. A building can't move without the artist. The records can't be done without the singer or the drummer. It's like, so you have to take your time and understand that your legacy, you know, it needs nurture. You know, you have to be sensitive to that. And if you're not sensitive to what God has given you, then you're just out there singing on everybody's stuff, doing everything, and you ain't getting none.
Wow.
That's so true.
Yes, and that's what so many young people get caught up in. They see all the glitz. They don't see the work. They don't see the types of people that you can meet. Some of them are very good, and some of them you just don't want to ever run into in your life. Like you said, God has perfect timing, and the devil knows exactly what to do to get you to do what he wants to do. And he makes it look really good. He makes it look really good. And
I've been offered a lot from, even people from the Illuminati. I've had people from the Illuminati. I have people from just a lot of stuff, and they offered me great things. They offered me big money, and I'm just like, that's great, but nah, I'm good. Like, I want to sleep at night. Like, I want my family to live. It might take me a little bit more longer to you, but in God's timing, I will be released at the time I'm supposed to be released. But I don't need no boost from death. I'm good.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow.
That's very true. So I see you did some work with the Whispers.
Yes. Okay, so the Whispers. So my artist name is Freedom Imani. My birth name is David McCrae. And I had an opportunity when I graduated back in 2003 by a young manager by the name of Jacqueline Dorsey. She was one of the assistant managers for the Jacksons. And she came to my school looking for a singer. And I kept turning her down because I didn't want to do no R&B. At that time, I just wanted to do gospel. So she talked to me, and then I talked to my pastor. My pastor, Pastor Dwayne Simmons in Baltimore, Maryland. He was actually a bodyguard for Stevie Wonder and Patti LaBelle and Stephanie Mills and them before he became a pastor. So he was the one that was telling me, listen, Doc, he called everybody Doc, it's fine. Like, God understands and he knows exactly who you are. You're not called to this church and these walls. You're called to go out. So he was the one that got me into this group with Jackie Dorsey by the name of Four Elements. It was an R&B group. And we had an opportunity as Four Elements, which my name in Four Elements wasn't Freedom, it was Nook. And we traveled and did some stuff with the Whispers and did VIP parties for SWV and Casey and JoJo and all of them. So I had that platform to do work with them when I was in my R&B group, Four Elements.
Okay. Yeah, all of these people that you talk about, I have everything they recorded because I'm a real...
Really?
everything. I mean, I've got albums, I've got tapes, I've got some of them on CD, and like the ones that got ruined, I've had to go rebuy because that music was it's not the same now.
No,
that music
not.
of those artists were you could feel it that they were true artists,
and they were real artists in the fact that they actually played instruments. If their instrument was their voice was magnificent. And if they were, played the drums or, soundboard, whatever, that's what they did. And that's one reason I do like going to a live concert, because you get to see the artistry. You get to see the artistry. And so much of what's recorded now, I hate to say it, there's no artistry. There's just none. I
don't hate to say it. It ain't no artistry. I'm sorry.
Well, you're from the inside, so you have that privilege. But it really,
I don't like it.
Like, yeah, you listen to it, it's like it's noise. I turned on a radio station a couple of weeks ago, and they were playing an old song that I really liked, so I was boogieing in my car. Mm-hmm. And then they went to something else, and it was like, that is nothing but noise.
Mm-hmm. But that's the thing that I was saying earlier.
Sense. There was no rhythm. There was nothing. It was like, so I turned the radio off.
Right, but that was the thing that we were just talking about not too long ago. Like a lot of the new people that's out here, they really want to do it, but because they're connected to certain, platforms or record labels, different things, they don't give them the freedom to actually do it. So a record come out and it's booming, like it's hitting, it's everywhere, but really that artist is sitting back in the fame and looking good, but in their head it's like, yo, that ain't even how I wanted it to come out. But now it's out there. So it's like that's the risk between independent and being signed. We have a little bit more leverage to make it raw, just put it out there as we want it, and gradually grow into doing that if we want to do like mainstream or or something like that. You have that, but when you just get signed, any creativity or anything that you have, you don't have it anymore, because now you got a table full of people saying, sing like this, dress like this, put this on, take that off, and like they just completely strip you down. Now don't get me wrong, it's a blessing, hey, praise God. But I'm just saying, you gotta it takes a really strong person to be able to be signed to a big machine and still have their presence in the mix of it. And there's not too many of them anymore because they didn't go into it with it.
Right.
So
exactly.
And it sounds all over the place, not so much because of who they're working with, it's because that's who they are. When you hear a lot of noise going on, that's what's going on in their spirit. That's their anger. That's their pain. And that's in the creativity of the music.
Wow. That's another way of looking at that.
Yeah.
So the artist is actually being shut down, and they're just going through the motions almost.
Yeah.
To
it's
accommodate
going through the motions. I used to do my shows. Say it again.
I said it's funny you talk about that because when I watched the story of Ray Charles, and he was a prime example of how he controlled what he wanted to do.
Right.
Even though they said, no, we can't do that, but then you can't have me.
Exactly.
And that's the beauty of really being an artist, is to be able to be, that's what being an artist is. It is being who you are, not what, like you said, the machine makes you to be. And when you said that, it made me think about the fact, again, referring to New York, that's why there's Broadway, but there's also off-Broadway and off-Broadway, and those little tiny theaters that you have to discover, and that's where you get some of the best artistry. That's where you get these marvelous little plays and these fabulous
little... Off-Broadway is doing way better than Broadway.
Yeah, because there are fabulous pieces being done, fabulous actors, and sometimes they're like just one or two actors in the entire play, and they carry you with it, and you come out so ecstatic. And I think that's what you're talking about in the music too, that when you really hear someone, when you hear the artist, then something happens to you. And that's the purpose of art, that it transforms us in some way at some level, even if it's for just a little bit of time. And then some artists, they transform you for a lifetime. Once you've heard them, you will never be the same.
And that's so true. So, Imani, how do people connect with you? How do people follow your music?
Well, right now I have a new website that's about to be released in probably like a month because I'm working on, my new material. It'll be Freedom Imani at, freedomimani.com. That will be the new website. But as of right now, like I'm doing all of my work for people to find. They can either Google, and stuff will come up, or follow me on my Instagram page, Freedom Imani, and I have different shows and stuff that I've done is up there because I'm rebooting a lot of stuff. Like I emptied a lot of stuff off to do stuff because a lot of my work that I've done, like I said, a lot of stuff is being done, because you have ghostwriter, singer, singing on projects, different things like that. But a lot of stuff that I am on is my voice on other people's projects. So it's not really what I would do. Like for certain people's records that I might have featured on or different things like that. So I released a project, and it was a live recording. It was an unplugged album, and it was entitled Breathe. That is actually up on all digital outlets for people to hear, and that's with my band called the Freedom Riders. It's an all-female band called Freedom Riders, and that's my sound. That's what I do. So if people want to hear, past work, they can just type in Freedom Imani on Google. They can go to my Instagram page, and they will find all of my new stuff and keep them posted about the website where they can see everything as a whole. But a lot of times when I do shows, a lot of stuff you're not going to find because for the people that I'm around that already follow my work, a lot of my stuff is like email blasts, like private parties, different shows and private recordings that I would do because I've been keeping a lot of my stuff sacred. Like, I don't allow any recordings for my shows because I don't want to take away from the intimacy of me having a conversation. So this new EP that I'm getting ready to release is entitled You Don't Own My Life, and this will actually be the first EP and album behind it where people will really be able to hear my full sound outside of other projects that I've worked on.
Okay. Wow.
Look forward to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm excited. And the song Breathe Now that's out, that's online that people can get, that was done because it was at a time that I was stressed and I was traveling on the road and I got sick and I had to be rushed to the hospital. I was over 280 pounds, almost had a massive heart attack, lost my memory in the hospital. And they put me on 3 different things of like blood pressure medicine. And, I just really struggled like with a lot and just going through stress and depression and just different things. And the Holy Spirit spoke to me while I was in the hospital complaining, like, God, I trust you. I'm fasting and praying. I'm doing all these things. Like, why me? Like, why this? And he said, why not you? Like, I can trust you. So I need you to go through this because you have a testimony. And he told me to breathe. So I wrote that song entitled Breathe to just let people know sometimes you just got to sit back and just take a breath and just breathe and just let God do what he do. And so, this because the album never came out because of some things going on with the producers, I'm really excited because I'm connecting the live single to the EP of my 7-year childhood all the way up to my age of 33 and to the album, which basically puts everything together of the sound that I had to go through in order to find me. And it was a lot because, to find my stuff, which is complicated for a lot of people, is because I've had so many other names and I've sung on so many different projects that I can talk about, and I've sung and done stuff on so many people's things that they've written me off of. So I don't talk about it. So, with that,
yes.
Yeah, it's like you hear something on the radio and you be like, oh, where I'm at. Or you see an album you see a record with your face on it in stores in the UK and you're like, oh, I'm there, but my name is not on it. Yeah, I mean,
wow.
Listen.
That's difficult.
But, yeah, it is. It's
still
very
doing
painful.
it. I remember seeing that in the 5 Heartbeats. They did that.
They're still doing it.
So they still doing that.
They're still doing it.
So I'm hearing one thing from you, which as you talk about this piece, is that in order to, like you say, have a legacy, a true legacy, not something that someone's written up for you and poured millions of dollars in so that they can make money, but to have a true legacy and to keep yourself in alignment with the God of your understanding, it takes a great deal of humility.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. They do. Especially when you do stuff that is great, and you work with people, and then you see people that look down on you, and they basically talk about like, oh, you're gonna make it one day, and listen, you're in the same dressing room there, and you're doing the same show that they're doing, and they're like, oh, you're gonna get out there. Don't forget the little people. And I don't get hurt when you say don't forget the little people. I get more hurt when you can label yourself as being little. Why are you doing that? Or somebody that has a Grammy and Grammy Awards, and they pat me on the back and say, man, I'm just trying to get to where you are. No, you're not. You have 3 Grammys. It's like, people are like that. They're so dishonest, and they're so unorganized, and they're so uncomfortable, not with you. They're so uncomfortable with the authority that you carry a lot of times. And, people they don't want to work with that because they don't have control and they can't navigate that. And that's what my song is going to be speaking about, You Don't Own My Life. It talks about managers, friends, and people that feel like they own you because they help you get to a certain platform, or a manager that introduced you, they own you, or a best friend that's supposed to be your best friend but turn off all of your relationships to keep you unto their self alive. They want to mind control you and use you because people will only see you as far as they see their self. So if they see that you're being launched and they know that you ain't going to take them on that launch, they'll tell you, I don't think you should go in that, man, or girl, like, I don't think that's good for you, because they know that they're not a part of it. So now you have mentally used me because I don't know my own work, so I'll sit back with you because you don't know me. Because if you did know me, you would know once I'm launched, I'm coming back for you. But because you don't know me and I don't know who I am, then I stay stagnated.
And I think many artists have gone through that. Tina Turner was, with Ike. He tried to control her, but all the time she was the gift.
Absolutely.
It's really called, just using a term, being narcissistic. Those are the people who like to control other people and tell that other person that, oh, no, don't do that. No, this is what you need to do. And then when you do it, then they look at you and say, oh, well, I'm surprised that you even listened to me. But Freedom, I want to say to you, oh my goodness, you have just given so much good information. So much good information. I think people who are listening if they aren't taking notes, they've taken it to heart.
Yes.
And they will probably tell other people about you, not just for the music that they hear, but for the person that you are and the perspective that you come from as an artist. And I think it's just, I'm very, very pleased to have met you in this way. Hope to meet you in person someday. I'm very, very impressed by your perspective, where you're coming from as an artist. As an artist, you really treasure that, and you've done something with it. Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. And the whole thing, Freedom, that you definitely let God run the show. That's the real critical piece, because a lot of people think that it's them. Yes, part of it is you, but most of it is God.
Absolutely.
It is.
Yep.
It is.
You do
And people,
99.9%.
they're afraid to admit to that. They're afraid to say it because, they're afraid of the responsibility that's going to come with it. Because once you give them credit, it's such a force and a power behind it. it will really shift you. But a lot of people are afraid of that. And if they just give God, I mean, man, you were speaking about that, giving God a yes, but not only a yes, giving him your final yes. When you tell God yes, he will turn your no's into yes and your yes into no's, even when it's concerning your life, industry, or anything. We don't have enough power to change our thoughts. He does. So there is nothing that we can walk into, not a door, not nothing that we can walk into and it don't be closed. Because the enemy can't do anything that God does not allow. And there is nothing that is going on this earth that he didn't already paint out for us. So it's just the little things of just knowing what the word says and writing the vision, make it plain. And, knocking the door shall be open and telling yourself, I'm the head, not the tail, I'm above, not beneath, I'm the lender, not the borrower. If we just use these little teeny tools that he's given us, then our walk in life won't be as hard as we make it to be, because it's really not hard. We make it hard.
Yeah. What you're saying
we make it really hard. And when we don't know that, what happens to us as artists, as singers, is there's a transfer spirit. When I sing, I have to be so prayed up on whatever genre of music that I'm singing, is because what I have on me is going out to them, and what's on them goes to me. And then I have to go back and pray it off, because if not, I'm going home suicidal. It's not my suicide, it's who I sung to. It's their depression. It's their hurt. It's their craziness that's going on. But if we don't know how to put the full armor of God on and walk out, and we just, I want to be an artist and just be out there, that's why half of them falling down dying, searching to try to be something that you weren't created to be, which is perfect.
Yeah. We are not created to guide not one of our steps, not steps. And that's what people try to do. And I have to correct myself. I think I said it backwards. We do the footwork. The other 99.9% is all God. It's all about what he knows is best. And I have a friend who always tells me, God knows what you need and how to get it to you on time. And that is what I'm hearing from you, again, is that affirmation. And I'm just so glad we had this opportunity to talk with you. Because so many people don't see artistry in that way. They have forgotten that God is a part. The gifts that we have are God-given. They're God-given. They're not ours. You can't go out and create your creativity. I believe that each one of us was born with a blueprint, and it's our work to learn how to manifest that in this world and to help others do the same, which is what you're saying. As you grew up through the music industry, being able to work with the greats and have that transition of knowledge and wisdom that made people great. And that's what we're missing today. You have a lot of people who, they've got a good voice. Somebody hears them, says, here's a contract. They go out there, and they used to call them one-hit wonders, because they have never nurtured their artist. And they don't know how to.
My music teacher, when I was in Douglas High School here in Baltimore, everybody told me I could sing in church because I sung loud and high. Like, you're going to sing to the nations. I'm like, okay, you're a prophet. So I go to this school to do an audition. I'm just yelling and screaming, and the music teacher said, you can't sing. I said, no, I can sing. He's like, nope, you can't sing. So, you got a great voice, but you need to nurture it. And so she said, I want to put you in the bass section from 9th grade to 12th grade. I said, no, ma'am, I sing high. Like, I got a high voice. I ain't doing it. She said, great. Then you won't get accepted to the school, neither will you get accepted to the choir. I said, where's the bass section?
You got humbled real quick.
Listen, I humbled all the way up. And God did so many miraculous things because I became the voice in Douglas High School because I sung bass. I got invited to the White House. I was able to sing for Cab Calloway's family. I was able to get awards. I was able to travel the world. And I was more out of school than in school and still graduated in 2003 because I was able to humble myself and listen to somebody with wisdom. You know, thank God that she's still living, Meryl Fitzgerald, music teacher, Baltimore, Maryland. And she took her time and she nurtured my ear. She nurtured my voice, and she allowed me to understand who I was as a singer, as a vocalist. And she told me, take your time when you sing. You know, gradually. You don't have to shout it out there. Just take your time. And my Aunt Joanne Farley and Kevin Carter, uncle, they told me the same thing. And it was a little hard because I thought singing was just loud. But I found out that was just my anger. That was stuff that was going on with me. And what I learned, this is why we struggle. You hear stuff earlier, you were saying something about music that you hear that's just loud. Because a lot of us think as artists that we're supposed to write everything we hear. And we're not. There's a lot of songs that I've written that I would never put out, though it's true. But listen, I don't want that out in the world. I don't want my daughter to hear it. I don't want people to hear me that way. So those are songs that people will never hear. But the industry, if it's in your spirit, you write it and you put it out, it's going to be a hit. Yeah, it's going to be a hit. But then it becomes a part of your name, your legacy, and then it's out there, and people have to grow up listening to that. So you don't have to write everything. There's some shows I don't even do. I won't, if I'm getting up feeling it ain't right, I can't make it to that show. It's going to be canceled because you just can't put everything out there. You have to be sensitive to know if it's for people to hear or if it's not for them to hear. That's why Prince did what he did and Michael did what he did. Some things people will never hear. Because it wasn't meant for everybody to hear.
I think all artists that, they, it's just for them.
Yeah.
It's like writing a journal. You're not going to take your journals and publish them. Not
exactly.
Not unless you, I don't know, a martyr.
Right.
You're just not putting all that out there. There are some things you don't ever want to be exposed to the light of day, other than the fact that you know that you wrote them. You know.
Right. Because even if you can create, even if you're talented to, create it and where people could understand it, they still won't understand it. It will take a lot of time. So it'll just be best if you just leave that stuff where it is. But that ain't what's going on now. They just want to throw it all out there.
Yes. Well, this has been an awesome conversation. And if there's any artists out there that's listening, you've given us so much wisdom for such a young age. I am just very honored to hear the things that have come out of your mouth today in terms of wisdom and God and leadership. So just one thing to leave our audience with. Imani, I'm getting a little filled up right now. I'm sorry.
Listen, I mean, all I can say is trust God. I mean, that's it. We can get deep into all the other stuff, but I can only go off what has gotten me where I am now and what is going to continue to take me further. Is to trust God. And outside of that, trust your ability, trust your truth, and know your worth. And don't rush. Respect your legacy. Be sensitive to God's timing, as I said, and know that every platform is a great platform. It doesn't have to be TV. Oh, it's big. No, where you at? In your room, in your closet, in your living room. That is your platform. That is your industry. Affect your industry. Music industry, start with your home industry. Affect your family. Affect your loved ones and your friends. Just know your worth. But more importantly, if you can move yourself, if it feels good to you and it feels right and you're affected by it and you know it's going to be something that's going to help to heal people in whatever genre that you're singing it in, and it's good, feel-good music to really help deliver and save people and elevate them, put it out there. But just trust and know that you have a voice and you're created by God and you're already created from the best of the best. And so you're a king, you're a queen, and just walk in that light and know your worth.
Well, thank you so much, Imani. This has been very uplifting and very empowering, and we definitely appreciate you saying yes to this interview.
Thank you so much. This has been such an honor. I thank God for both of you guys and for giving me another platform and another opportunity to share just a little of my story. So may God bless and be with you guys, and, His blessings upon you guys for your family, for the holidays, and that God will bless you mentally, spiritually, physically, and financially in this year that has already started biblically. Just continuous blessings that God will blow your mind. And I want to leave this with y'all. We want God to blow our mind in this year. So charging ourselves before God can blow our mind, let's blow His mind. Let's do something so miraculous that we grab His attention and not wait for Him to grab our attention. Let's just blow God's mind so God can blow our mind. And let's just keep doing that thing back to back. And the doors and the gates is going to open up even more for this platform that you're not only allowing for me, but for other artists that have come before me, and more are going to come, for both of you guys for giving great people like us an opportunity. So many blessings. You're doing a great thing, and I pray that God just will flip you upside down before the end of this year with this platform that you're providing. And I thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. This show is brought to you by the amazing women of a Sister Circle Empowerment Network, ASCEN LLC, where we are never in competition, but always in collaboration, and our valued sponsors. Learn more about our sponsors and their services and membership in a Sister Circle, ASCEN LLC, at www.assistercircle.org. To learn about becoming a sponsor for Just Minding My Business Radio and how our marketing package benefits your company, please visit our website at www.assistercircle.org. Voiceovers by RCH VoiceWorks. Contact slvoiceworks8201 at yahoo.com or call 443-620-4115.
Thank you for tuning in to Just Minding My Business Radio. I'm your host, Ida Crawford. We hope you enjoyed the show and appreciate you stopping by. Many blessings to you and yours.